If you're set on the card, I'm probably not going to be able to change your minds, but be careful. Robinhood just announced their new gold card, and today we're looking at everything you need to know. Is this just a rebrand of the X1 card they acquired, or is it something new entirely? Also, are there some catches that you need to watch out for? Big favor before we dive into everything is to give this a thumbs up to help out the algorithm. That way other people that need to see this can see this. And if you are new and you like kind of diving into the terms and conditions for credit cards, then consider subscribing. Right off the bat, this is a pretty competitive card where you're getting 3% back on everything on all categories. It also is stainless steel and 17 grams. There also is a solid gold card that we'll talk about later on. The base card though is pretty good. What's the catch? Even though the card has no annual fee, it's only for people that have Robinhood Gold. Also, not the monthly plan, but specifically the annual plan. The current price for this is about $50 a year. There are features of gold that might pay for itself, and we'll talk about that towards the end, but if you currently don't have it, then be careful about overvaluing it. And to be fair, there are other features of the card that I really like. If you are looking to keep it long term and locking in permanently, then it can be a great way to help your family members build credit. I also like that you can set spending limits and even lock their cards. For example, if you have a cousin that wants to rebuild their credit and you want to help them out, but you still want to de-risk by a little bit, then this is the perfect option. I wish it was more common in other mainstay cards, but we're not there yet. There are some features that I would be careful about overvaluing, such as 5% on travel through Robinhood Travel. So it sounds great, but there are some actual no annual fee cards that do the same thing. Back to the Robinhood card, it does come with a lot of standard protections that you would expect from no annual fee or $50 annual fee cards from most good issuers. Not bad by any means, but nothing to really write home about. The one feature that I really like though, and that I wish we saw more, was virtual cards that have disposable numbers. It is something that we're starting to see more and is very common among tech ones, especially on the business side, like Ramp as well as Brex. It's one of my favorite features, and I'd love to see it more in consumer cards. Maybe I'm a weirdo, but I try a lot of SaaS apps and a lot of tools, and I'm happy to do it for a trial or a month, but a lot of them do have dark patterns to try to make it so that you cannot cancel or that you don't want to cancel. I'm a techie and want to try different things, but want to minimize information leakage. On that note, this brings us to the sponsor of today's video, DeleteMe. If you're looking to travel, one thing to be careful with is making sure that your personal information isn't being shared without your consent. The last thing you'd want is for a criminal to know your home address and that you're on vacation. So for me, I delay posting and more importantly, make sure that my address isn't available. For example, we were in Paris last week. On Instagram, I'm still in Paris since we delay posting. Side note, follow me on Instagram at AskSebi. I'm posting some of the highlights from the Switzerland and Paris trip. You might not know this, but 40% of renters post about their trips while they're traveling, and 2/3 of burglaries happen when you're not at home. One of the best ways I've tackled this is DeleteMe, and that's why I'm excited to partner with them for today's video. When I used to Google myself, I'd find hundreds of detailed profiles that share my cell phone number, address, and email. And the crazy thing is that I'm generally pretty good at this stuff. It's more so other services, these other SaaS apps that I use, that might not be. In the best case, you get robocalls and maybe scam emails. Worst case, you're at risk for identity theft and fraud. Initially, I tried to remove all of this myself, which you can do, but it can take hours. I don't really mind doing things when I'm watching Netflix. The issue though is that some of these sites don't really have easy ways to opt out, and they just pop back up. DeleteMe is super easy for this, and I've been using them for a little over a year. Fast forward to the most recent report, they reviewed over 8,394 listings that matched my name, identified which ones were actually me, and then found 0 listings, meaning that it works. If I were to do this myself, it would take me about 12.5 hours. Over the past year, it's removed over 72 matching listings. The cool thing is that they continuously scan for new data and gets that removed as well. On average, DeleteMe finds and removes over 2,000 pieces of data per customer in their first 2 years, and to date, they've removed over 100 million pieces of data for all their customers. So if you want to get your personal information removed from search results, then go to joindeleteme.com/asksebi and use code SEBI for 20% off their consumer plans. Okay, so the Robinhood card has a ton of great features, but how does it stack up as a credit card and what are some considerations? Let's look at the card using 3 different levels: team cashback, travel, and intro bonuses. For the purpose of this, I'm assuming that you do not currently have Robinhood Gold. If you do, then it might make sense to skip either the team travel or team intro bonuses. Okay, so if you're in team cashback, how does this stack up? If you're a big spender, then it does really well. For normal people, there is a big consideration, and that's the idea of opportunity cost. Let's say you have a magical piece of land, and if you don't put any work into it, it grows grass, and then you can sell the grass for $200. Just an example, don't overthink it. Alternatively, you can have cows there, you have to buy them, so there's a cost there. and they're eating the grass that you would have otherwise sold for $200. The question is whether it's worth more to do this or keep it as just grass. In this case, the grass is the normal no annual fee card that you probably have already that earns 2% back. Buying the cows is buying Robinhood Gold. We can solve whether this makes sense by using a break-even formula, where X equals your spend, you put both cards on different sides, and you solve for it. In this case, X is $5,000. This means that you need to spend $5,000 in a year to match what you would get with that 2% no annual fee card. If you spend less, then this might be a skip, and then if you spend more, then perfect. And this is keeping it super simple, assuming you have no other cards that might earn more. For example, City Custom Cash earns 5% on your top spend category every month on up to $500 per billing cycle. So that's a no annual fee card that might be getting you 5% back on restaurants, gas stations, or grocery stores. There can be better options. The main disadvantage though is that you would need to have more cards. Robinhood is a great one and done option. Main takeaway, the Robinhood Gold card stacks up pretty well for team cashback. Okay, so it sounds pretty good. Why would you say that it's only for higher spenders? If you don't spend that much, then it goes back to the idea of opportunity cost and how you could otherwise allocate that spend. The target audience for the card is high-paid professionals in tech and maybe finance, people that make good money and also spend a ton. Think about the person that's in their mid-20s and a couple and both earn maybe $250 to $400K total comp. For example, the average software engineer that might work at a place like Robinhood. $212K base pay, $170K in stocks, and a $20K bonus. If you're in that position, you're probably spending $5K to $10K plus a month, and you're going to get value. For normal people though, it's a 3% back card, but there's no intro bonus. Most other cards out there give you something like $150 to $200 back for spending $500 to $1,000 in the first 3 months. So for example, Capital One Saver 1, $200 back for spending $500 in the first 3 months. That's effectively 40% back on the intro bonus segment. To earn the same $200 for the Robinhood card at 3%, you need to spend $6,667, and that's a lot of money. Especially so because there's probably about 10 plus cards that fit into the $200 back for $500 spend kind of bucket of cards. Maybe I'm alone here, but when I was living in Boston and out of a co-working space, $200 is pretty meaningful. Again, if you make a ton and spend a ton, get the Robinhood card, it probably makes sense. For normal people in lower or moderate cost of living areas, just be careful. Especially so if you are just building out your credit and you're relying on this as one of the foundational cards for your credit history. I'll talk more about this towards the end, but there are a lot of questions about what happens if you cancel Robinhood Gold in year 2. On that note, if you want to learn about these low-hanging fruit cards from other issuers and you want to support the channel, we do have links on the website, asksabby.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive and that they make sense for you, but otherwise it is a huge way to support the channel, so thank you guys in advance. For team travel, the Robinhood card looks a lot weaker. This is a super aggressive rabbit hole and we're going to be super surface level of it, but know that you can get a lot more value for those points. And yeah, pretty much the whole Ask Sabby channel is focused on getting value. So even though the Capital One Saver 1 is no annual fee, 3% back for dining, entertainment, popular streaming, and grocery stores, that 3% cash back can be converted to miles, which have more value. Same thing with options like the City Double Cash, which are 2% everywhere, but that's really 2x thank you points. Okay, so why does this matter? If you're trying to do premium travel and even economy travel, points can be worth a lot more if you know what you're doing. If you have a friend that makes the same salary as you and you're kind of in the same bucket and they're flying business class to the Maldives for their vacation, they're probably doing it on points. It also could be that they're rich, but about 30 to 50% of people that I meet at these properties are using points. For example, Mandy and I just got back from Paris where we stayed at the Park Hyatt Vendôme. This is a pretty expensive hotel that averages at about $1,500 per night. Bookings are easiest if you're looking way far ahead or super last minute. Let's say we want to go this weekend. For the retail cash price, you're looking at $1,419 for the member rate. Total all in for 2 nights is $2,869, checking in Friday and checking out on Sunday. Those same nights are also available using points at 45,000 points per night. Total all in price is 90,000 points for the same exact room on the same exact dates. Pretty minimal for this case, but there are also no city taxes and fees. And yes, I can book this right now as a filming, but it can disappear. If that's a bit confusing, we can conceptualize this a little bit better. So something like Robinhood where you're only getting 1 cent per point, 90,000 points is 900 cash. In our case, 90,000 points is almost a $2,900 hotel stay, 3.2 times as much value. Again, not for everyone, but the idea is that you can get more value, whether it's for an anniversary trip or maybe a honeymoon, or if you like fancy travel. So we've talked a lot about Robinhood Gold, but does it make sense? There are a lot of features, but there is one that might pay for itself. Your first $1,000 of margin is going to be free, and they do not charge interest. Margin is basically you borrowing money, so they'll lend you $1,000 for free to use in their app, and no interest, but you do have to return it afterwards. Stock prices can go up and down, so there's risk. One strategy is to put it into something low risk, like bonds, like SGov. Non-financial advice, do your own research, or find something else that's equivalent. The idea of these bonds is that you get interest, so right now it's 5.68%. Robinhood is lending you money, no interest, but you have to pay it back at some point, so you don't want to be reckless. If you put it into something like this, then you're getting 5%, so about $50 a year. Hopefully that makes sense. They're giving you money, you can't really take it off platform, and you're investing in something low risk to make some money back. Your mileage may vary, but well worth considering. One big part of their promotion is that some cards are actually made of gold. This is part of the referral program, and it's pretty interesting. Let's dive into the terms. It is only for the first 5,000 eligible participants that complete 10 eligible gold referrals. Even if you are in the first 5,000 but they run out of cards due to manufacturing, then you'll get the cash equivalent. Note that there is a max of 1 solid gold card per participant. It's going to be interesting because I think some people that get the gold card are going to get 1099 misses, and they're going to have to pay taxes. And they even talk about this at the bottom, since you are receiving something with financial value. The cash equivalent value of the gold is $1,100. You get this if they either run out of cards because of manufacturing, or if you do not want to open up a Robinhood Gold card. If you do have a Robinhood Gold card, then you'll receive this 10 karat gold solid card. Given that the gold does have market value, I'd expect $1,100 in taxable income. It depends on your state or federal tax bracket, but you're probably looking at something like 30% or maybe 40% in taxes. So about $330 to $440. Also interesting that the 10 referrals that they're looking for are not specific for the card. They're looking for new customers to Robinhood Gold via the brokerage. The person that you refer has to sign up for Robinhood Gold, and they cannot be an active subscriber of Robinhood Gold. They also do need to pay, whether it's the first month or the whole annual subscription. The free trial does not count for this. On a side note, if you want to check out Robinhood Gold, whether you care about the card or not, I'll put a link down below. With all that said, I do have some final questions. What happens to people that have the X1 card? What if you cancel Robinhood Gold in the future? And why is Robinhood doing this? What are their incentives? And maybe some risk for us. For the first one, I'm guessing that they product changed people over from the X1 card over to this one. I think they would get way too many angry people if they just canceled those cards. There's no intro bonus or sign up bonus anyways, so it kind of works out. And the only thing is the whole solid gold card promotion, which the X1 converts can still take part of. It also means that they don't end up having 2 duplicate cards. The bigger question for me is what happens if you cancel the gold subscription in the future, let's say in year 2 or 3. I can't seem to find anything on this, but let me know if you found something. My best guess is that they knock your rate down from 3% to 1%. There also is a non-zero chance that they just cancel the cards. For example, I know that this is the policy for other ones like Costco, where if you cancel your Costco membership, then Citi sends you a note telling you that you pretty much need to either re-sign up or they're canceling your card. And to be fair, this is a great strategy to get long-term buy-in into a membership like Robinhood Gold. Same playbook, it's a no annual fee card, but you're forced to keep paying, especially if this is one of your few cards and you don't want to cancel. This leads into what I think they're doing. They're probably using this as a loss leader to grow their base of subscriptions for Robinhood Gold. And a reminder that the card is only specifically available for people that are paying for the annual plan. If they can get you to sign up and then hopefully forget to cancel, then they're golden. On your end, I would say that there's 2 risks. Number 1 is what happens if they increase the price of gold. Let's say they bump it up from 50 to 75. Number 2 is more of a fundamental issue of cards where they're partnered with startups, or broadly tech companies. One of the best examples of this is the Uber card, which was pretty good for a year or 2, and people loved it. People happily opened it, ignored 524, ignored intro bonuses because the multipliers were so good. It didn't really make sense to me because you would have to spend a lot in order to get a lot back, and that's not the average person. At some point, they ended up changing the card so that you were only earning Uber cash, and people hated it. Maybe a bit of a surprise, but people liked the card for the multipliers, not because they actually used Uber. In 2021, after a lot of fallout, the card was phased out. And to be fair, this can happen with big bank cards as well, but I feel like they have so many other options that you have a softer landing pad. I think the Robinhood card can be a great option for someone that's busy, who makes a ton of money, and spends, let's say, $5,000 or $10,000 a month. For normal people that are willing to put in the work, I think there are intro bonuses that are worth chasing, and also probably travel cards. If you are still interested in Robinhood Gold or the Gold card, I'll put a link down below. If you want to learn about those other cards, then we have links on the website, asksabby.com, and also down below in the description box. If you made it to this point, leave a butter emoji, which is the closest thing to a gold bar that I could find, in the comments down below, and I'll heart it and also respond. 3 questions. What are your thoughts on the Robinhood card? Number 2, are you going to get it? And number 3, what team are you on? Cashback, travel, or intro bonuses? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favor, thumbs up, consider subscribing, share this with a friend, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time. I think I might be losing my voice a little bit.